Head külalised, et kui on kellelgi vaja tõlget, kuna ettekanded on osalt inglise keeles, siis on võimalik sealt tagant võtta pult ja kõrvaklapid ja number 2 peal peaks olema siis eesti keel. Et enamus komisjoni liikmetega ma sain rääkida, et meil võiks olla siis see tutvustusosa avalik istung. Et Postimees ja Delfi ja veel mõned ajakirjandusväljaanded soovisid ülekannet teha, et me anname selle võimaluse ja kas see sobib komisjoni liikmetele? Et lepiks kokku, et tutvustusosa on siis avalik istung ja pärast ühel hetkel lähme kinniseks istungiks edasi. Tagatud. Et alustame siis tänase komisjoni istungiga ja meil on esimene päevakorrapunktiks on Rail Balticu tasuvusanalüüsi ärakuulamine ja ma annaks esimesena sõna siis proua Paiba anda Lubuessale. It's your floor, please.
Mr. Koch, dear Economic Committee, thank you very much for having us here in Parliament. I understand we have only 1 hour, so to be able to concentrate on the cost-benefit analysis, I will not do a lengthy presentation about Rail Baltica itself, save for the first introductory slides so that we're all on the same page and that we can go immediately into the presentation. With me, I have beside me Nauris Kljava, who's the Ernst Young partner, who drove the study, basically. We have Kaspars Briškans, who is the head of business development for RB Rail. We have Indrek Orav, whom I'm sure you all know, who's the director or member of the management board of Rail Baltic Estonia. And we have Kaido Zimmerman, that many of you already know, but for us, he is the planning and implementation manager at RB Rail and currently also our acting country manager for Estonia. Rail Baltica, as you know, is the project of the century, and its main mandate is to actually deliver a new economic corridor for Northeast Europe. You see that we are part of the North Sea Baltic corridor in 10T terms in the European Commission, and we see the route that now has been set from Tallinn to Pärnu, Riga Airport, Panevėžys, Kaunas, the Lithuanian-Latvian border, and with an extension from Kaunas to Vilnius. Clearly, the route continues to Białystok and to Warsaw, and we already have quite a lot of engagement in terms of bringing the Poles closer, and frankly, our Finnish friends even closer, hoping that they will soon become shareholders in RB Rail as well, while they are now observers of the project. So that we all know what this study has been based on, here are actually the technical parameters that are no longer challenged around it. If 2 years ago we talked about approximately 700 kilometers of railway, by now the estimate is that there will be 870 kilometers of railway being built, 213 in Estonia, 265 in Latvia, excuse me, and 392 in Lithuania. Where does the increase come from? It is from adding into the CBA the Kaunas-Vilnius connection, also the connection from Riga Central Station to Riga Airport, and some other slight adjustments. That's really where the increase in rail stems from. The design speed is certainly to be able to manage 240 kilometers an hour. The gauge, you know, is European gauge of 1435 millimeters, double track electrified, and putting on a new European signaling system. Last but not least, I will show you 2 more slides. One is the project timeline, as you see for the global project, how things are developing in each of the countries involved. And there are many hills and valleys, perhaps, between the planning, design, and construction phase, but the intent is certainly still to manage to launch the first train in 2026. I will skip over some of these to give the 2 really final slides. One is about where are we with project implementation. It was actually there are several very important agreements that have been signed in the course of the past year. Clearly, we have 2 Connecting Europe facility grant agreements signed, and we have 1 more underway that we hope we will have signed this year for the CEF 3 grant call. Very important was to have an inter-beneficiary agreement signed between all 3 countries that determines how the monies that come in from CEF come to the joint venture are thereafter distributed and reported on. Most important was actually the Rail Baltica contracting scheme that determines who procures what in which fashion, and is actually the basis for being able to go forward on any work. And last but not least is the intergovernmental agreement that was signed by all 3 countries in January and now are proceeding through ratification in all 3 parliaments, already accepted in the Latvian parliament. It is important to point out the route alignment. Actually, the shareholders' agreement determines the cities that the Rail Baltica goes through. And in many ways, there was a precondition to have the routes aligned before we even commenced with the CEF grants, but we are where we are. Latvia last year aligned and confirmed the route between both borders. Lithuania has aligned, and the parliament has approved the route from the Latvian-Lithuanian border to Kaunas. And right now we are undertaking a feasibility study for the part between Kaunas and the Lithuanian-Polish border to see what needs to be done, what investments and corrections made, so that that route also comply with the technical standards as I outlined earlier, and also we're working on the Vilnius-Kaunas connection. In this context, we trust and hope that Estonia will soon make a decision on its route alignment. Why do I point it out? It is because to make any capital investment decisions, it is important that you actually know what you are evaluating. And for this CBA, we have not had really detailed analysis of based on consolidated preliminary design or anything else, but we had the very good knowledge that Kaido Zimmerman has to help us evaluate all along the way what the costs would be per kilometer, what are we looking at, to see that we have an experienced railway person look at all of this. This is, from me, from the introduction. We have more slides because I think it's more important for us to be able to share the cost-benefit analysis. And with that, I turn to Nauris Kljava, and I hope the person who knows how this laptop works will come and help get the right presentation, or I will try. Maybe you start and I will try to find it.
Hello, my name is Nauris Kljava. I'm a partner of advisory services of Ernst Young Baltic, located in Riga. It's just a coincidence that I come from Latvia. This was truly a pan-Baltic team working on this project, involving my colleagues from Estonia, Lithuania, Finland, Poland, and also we were supported by our team in Germany that helped us with traffic and passenger forecasts. And this team in Germany is working on EMEA for a wider region and doing similar tasks in other countries in Europe and also in Africa, Middle East, and India. So, you know.
Okay, you need this. Who has been dealing with this computer? You don't know, Emily, no?
But what I see, it's in front. Maybe we can do it.
Yeah, it's okay. You start. on the paper, and we'll find it.
Yes, this is. Okay, the first is about what we have received numerous questions about what really CBA is answering to, yes, and what answers it will or will not provide. So I'm not sure which page is it now, but we should be on a page. We're getting there. Okay, great.
Next. One more. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, right.
Yes.
I see it.
Enter.
Yes, so the context of CBA is that it has been done actually in the environment where important investment decisions have been already made. Yes, so they are, 2 grant agreements have been signed, things are moving forward. So compared to ICOM's study six years before, so the purpose of this study was really not to address the issues, and I will start from the right side to the left. So our task was not to evaluate shall this project be constructed at all. So as the key assumption is that this investment decision has been already made based on ICOM's study. Also in terms of the route and other technical parameters, during our study these were treated as given. And the technical parameters that were briefly described by Mrs. Rubes, this is something that was not challenged in our work, but was used as important assumptions, of course, for speed and for other critical parameters. Well, we also did not enter agenda actually of politicians, yes, and policymakers. So is this the best project for Baltics? I don't know, to be honest. Yes, so maybe there are better projects and better ways to use public money. This was not our task to evaluate it. Our task was to evaluate a particular project within the given set of technical parameters and alignment and the forecasts that we produced around traffic and passenger traffic and freight, and also capex and maintenance expenses. And also the level of detail was abstract to the level that is needed for cost-benefit analysis. So we did not address very interesting, I think, questions about what's the time when the first train will leave Riga or arrive in Tallinn, or what will be let's say, what will be loyalty bonuses available and so on. So this, of course, is something that will be covered in later studies, and the practical life will show it. So what this CBA is answering to, it's answering about the financial and economic feasibility of the project. When we talk about financial feasibility for an infrastructure manager, yes, we analyzed cash flows. Potential cash flows at the baseline, or at the basis of our analysis. These were cash flows of a future infrastructure manager. We were not asked to go into detail on what shall be the legal structure of infrastructure management, and I understand that there will be another study that will cover it later, commissioned by RB Rail. So we did it for infrastructure manager, not splitting it into whether it will be 1, 3, or even more infrastructure managers. Then we also assessed what is the level of necessary EU funding, and these are the coefficients of funding gap and similar. So I will come to them in a short. Of course, it's important dimension is sustainability of the future infrastructure manager, and other or wider socio-economic benefits that are not directly related to the cash flows of the railway operators or infrastructure managers, but rather wider benefits to the society as such, and also to the governments. Important remark: our analysis was done for the global project being Rail Baltica in its totality, rather than sum of 3 separate projects. I have faced these questions in all three Baltic countries. So can you tell what's Lithuanian share of the benefits, what's Latvia's share of benefits, and I believe there are also similar questions in Estonia. Well, we can provide only some arithmetic answer to it, but this was not our task to do a national separate studies and then to sum them. The task was to analyze a project that has cross-border significance and whose benefits also go beyond the borders of each separate country. And I think we will come back to this when questions come. I will explain in more detail what was covered sort of nationally and what was not. So what is Rail Baltica in terms of main outcomes of our analysis? For passengers, this definitely will be a game changer, especially for the travel, intra-Baltic travel and connecting main economic centers in Baltics. You can see potential not the time schedule, but travel times, and also we did some estimates about average revenue from passenger. Our analysis shows that 10 euro cents per kilometer would be something that would be both affordable from the passenger perspective and also providing an opportunities for passenger carriers to conduct their business without direct subsidies. We have benchmarked this against other European intercity trains of similar lengths, and this is something that we can observe in other European countries. When it comes to the Baltics and looking at railway ticket prices, of course you will not see 10 euro cents per kilometer. These prices are in the range from 3 to 6 euro cents per kilometer. But the difference is that these are subsidized by a public service obligation, whereas one of the key assumptions for key outcomes, not assumptions, key outcomes of cost-benefit analysis is that international passenger train operations and international freight operations will not be subsidized, so they shall be financially self-sustainable and make returns that are at least on average as high as ones that are in similar businesses. So this definitely will, for certain segments, like for business segments, this will bring new opportunities, and we see quite a high potential for Rail Baltica to compete with personal cars and also with buses, in some routes also with airplanes, and that may be, we may see actually quite interesting developments on how this air and rail collaboration will develop in the future, and that's also taken to some extent into analysis. When it comes to the figures, our estimates, depending on the year of operation and scenario, vary between almost 4 million passenger trips on Rail Baltica line to 7.1 million trips on the line. So these we think that these are realistic figures. Yes, and they and given let's say the actual traffic between Baltic countries, and here I must say that there is no perfect and reliable information about travel. There are, of course, border crossings are being counted. There is much better statistic in airline business, but what was actually the purpose or the destination of one Lithuanian that crosses Latvia's and Estonia's border, we really don't know. Yes, and that's why we, apart from statistical analysis, we also did conduct a mobility survey that was actually statistically valid survey conducted in 3 Baltic countries to estimate potential passenger flows between these given given cities and destinations. Since early beginnings of Rail Baltica, this has been claimed that one of the slogans that travel from Baltics to Berlin, to Vienna, or even further, well, the economic reality shows that of course there will be a segment that potentially may use it, but when we compare air travel prices with with also time and potential pricing of of these distances, this doesn't seem to be main driver for the passenger business, but passenger business will definitely be in intra-Baltic travels, and extra-Baltic actually mainly being Poland and Lithuanian Poland. For freight, there is a potential to serve three directions. One is imports, exports of Baltic countries per se. Then it's basically Finnish transit, which is north-south, and then also east-west, west-east, to be more precise, because there is a potential for Rail Baltica to capture part of the flows that actually now are being serviced by roads, to some extent by sea, that is consumer goods going to Russia and Belarus, Ukraine from Europe. So, and with the help of multimodal terminals in Kaunas, Vilnius, Salaspils, Muuga, potentially Pärnu, there would be definitely an opportunities for this. For freight forecast, it's very important to note that there are many things that go beyond Rail Baltica project for this to materialize, and here I'm talking about the wider ecosystem of logistics industry. So if this project would only be project of constructing a railway line, then the figures that we see for tonnage that we would see for the freight potential, this is not realistic. Yes, there is more to be done in the physical infrastructure in terms of multimodal terminals, and also in terms of the logistics service and supply chain, as particularly for Estonia. It would be important to work with the Finnish counterparts and to see that flows of Finnish goods that are really they capture their potential in terms of service, in terms of aligning ferry traffic with block trains and so on and so on. And we had a number of interviews and discussions in Finland. There is an interest, and this interest is pragmatic, and this interest is that yes, if there will be a reasonable service, Rail Baltica has a potential to service Finnish flows. And of course, this creation of service is something that where railway, of course, is a very important part, but it goes beyond it. What wider benefits Rail Baltica will provide? This is approach that is adopted not only in EU when EU evaluates public investment projects to be supported by EU funds, but also in other governments. This is approach where to analyze not only direct financial benefits, but to look wider what impact such project is creating. Some of these impacts are, I must say, quite tangible. Yes, when it comes to the time saving, especially for business travelers, when it comes to the cost saving for freight owners or profits of the railway undertaking. Some of them are somewhat less tangible, but still they can be quantified, and this mainly relates to the climate change savings, let's say, on health from noise and similar negative externalities that are monetized in this approach. All in all, the analysis shows that discounted benefits are 4.5 billion euros. Undiscounted, it's 16 billion for all three Baltic countries. Why this financial jargon of discounting and non-discounting is important? Because we are, of course, counting these benefits for the operation period of 35 years after this railway is being in operation, and of course we need to apply some kind of discount to the benefit that will happen in the year 2055. Yes. And similarly, costs are also discounted, and I will show it in the next slide. So when it comes to the summary of the key results and key outcomes, financial outcomes of cost-benefit analysis, CapEx assumption is almost 4.8 billion euro. As explained by Ms. Rubes, this project has extended in its scope. Yes, there are more than 100 kilometers added to it, and there are new elements like Riga International Airport, Kaunas-Vilnius connection. We have assumed 85% funding from Europe, which giving the financing gap of 94%, effective EU funding rate would be 80%. So with these assumptions, national funding would be only 20%. This gives us a positive economic rate of return that is above threshold of 5%. And when it comes to the support needed after this project is in operation, our estimates show that there will be support necessary in the first years of operation because of the uptake period, both for passenger and freight. And later, when it comes to the major capital repairs of the railway track, then also there would be potential support needed in almost €500 million. Key risks are related to EU co-financing rates, capex, the ability and ambition to keep this capex to the target levels, and also freight forecasts, as our analysis showed that this project is highly sensitive to ability to capture the freight potential that is there in the market. Yes, this is the slide that shows the ratios that show costs versus benefits, and when it comes to and we have actually calculated the specific, and this is given the set of questions. So what exactly it means for each national country. We have introduced a ratio that is national capital invested benefits versus national capital invested, which is basically national funding, and this ratio is close to 6. So in very simple terms, every euro invested of the public money would give back almost 6 euros. Well, if you would go to the Ministry of Finance or State Treasury and ask in which particular account this 6 euro will come in, well, there is no such an account. Yes, but these are the benefits of the economic growth, benefits of time saved, and also climate. So, and I think this is exactly the way how public investment is being, I believe, evaluated in most of the countries. Yes, where if public investment is supposed to bring direct financial returns, yes, then this is business. This is not a public investment. Yeah. We have also calculated some other benefits like Gdp Multiplier, which is the effect of large infrastructure projects that with the help of local materials and local labor, it supports national economies. We have looked at the safety aspects, and our estimate is that potential of 400 lives could be saved during the operation phase. And also other items of negative climate effect mitigation. Our analysis also cover a wide set of unquantifiable benefits, and case studies show that these are present and in the projects of such a scale and importance. I will not go into much detail, but definitely there are potential opportunities for the labor market. There are opportunities for retailers and other businesses that actually cannot be quantified that easily, but definitely will be present. And then on concluding remarks, well, this is the question I have heard most often: is Rail Baltica profitable? Yes. My teenage kids, they also have asked, Father, you work with Rail Baltica. I have read in internet portal that I will need to subsidize it. Yes, when I will be, let's say, grown up, older. Yes. Well, and of course there is a wider group of business people and stakeholders who ask this question about profitability. And there is no single answer. Yes, well, as in these complex projects and complex analysis, so profitability is different concept for different stakeholders. And as I mentioned, so for railway operators or undertakings, analysis shows that they will be profitable, reaching reasonable profitability targets and profitability benchmarks. When it comes to the infrastructure manager, well, this is a bit of diplomatic way of saying things that this will be financially sustainable in long term. What it means practically is that infrastructure manager shall be able to cover its maintenance costs after starting from year 6, and then until the period when this major reinvestment needs to take place, a major capital repair, then the time may come when support is needed again. And national governments and society as such, well, this is again, it's a question of I think more of the public policy, whether any public investment needs to bring direct euros into state treasury or the other forms. Most probably no, and that was the purpose of analyzing socio-economic benefits versus costs, and this shows that these benefits outweighed benefits to the society, outweighed costs to the society. And a few concluding remarks. Of course, CBA assumes that all necessary actions like intermodal terminals, rolling stock operators, and so on will be attracted, and these things will happen. It's quite obvious that without EU funding this project, this may be still feasible, as these benefits are actually not dependent on the financial structure, but is it affordable to the 3 Baltic countries to invest almost 6 billion euros? Well, I would really doubt. Yes. Most probably no. And most of the benefits, let's say the most beneficial, this would be for intra-Baltic travel and the trade with EU countries. And final remarks. Well, there are some critical success factors for these forecasts to actually materialize. Yes, and also in our report we use word potential, freight potential. Yes, meaning this is not EY promise that there will be 30 million tons in year 2026. This is the market potential that can be captured if this business is properly managed, and if there is early commercialization and early promotion of the project, as well as there are sufficient capacities of multimodal terminals. There are reasonable and well-designed links with existing public transportation system, with regional trains, with public transportation system, and of course it's very important that this project is being reasonably well managed. And the project management and implementation and governance structures are the ones that are successful. So there are many ifs, and if these ifs materialize, then definitely there is a potential for this project to change the lives of passengers that travel within Baltics, and also change the face of logistics industry, not only in Baltics but beyond. Thank you.
Aitäh ja nüüd järgmisena Kaspars. Your floor. Ei, see Indrek. It's all. Okay. Kas on komisjoni liikmetel lühikesi küsimusi? Jaa, palun Toomas.
One of our biggest concerns in Estonia is that what will happen after 2020 if we are talking about the rate of EU financing. And you said in the morning correctly that no one has any guarantees right now. But what's the position of Rail Baltic project comparing with our EU projects? And what are your personal expectations? What will happen after 2020? And another question is maybe to Nauris, that you showed on your slide that the part of the transit, if we are talking about the freight, is 51 or 57%, and you mentioned that it consists of also east-west trade. how big is a part in your calculation of this east-west transit? Thanks.
Thank you very much for the question. To begin with the financing, we are seen as a top priority project at the European Commission, with actually all of their cross-border transportation projects. And I'm not sure whether we rank first, second, or third, but we're not lower than third. In the Commission's eyes, this is a very important project to realize, because first of all, we are more than 2 countries involved, which is unheard of in the first place. So the complexity of the project is very clear to our key investors, no matter how we look at it. To be able to achieve the same level of support first of all, I believe that there will be support going forward. This will not be a question of no money post 2020. Question is, can we achieve 80 to 85%? If the Polish colleagues a week ago said they could never expect anything beyond 60%, I have no doubt that we will actually achieve the 80%, provided a few things happen. Number one, the project and the joint venture needs to be able to demonstrate so-called project maturity, which means that we are actually implementing activities as expected from the different CEF grants, that we have the route aligned, that we have a plan going forward, and the Commission would also say that we are working as a single implementing body to be able to have the adequate support support to the level of 80–85%. If I were to guess today, I have no doubt we're going to get it. But you never know. So I think that if we continue to work in a much more collaborative fashion, and we're able to realize the economies of scale in the procurement that is expected in the next few years, this is a very doable project. It's a bit of a stretch goal, but it is certainly very feasible.
This west-east, east-west transit is from 1/3 to 40% of the total, and this includes in all 3 Baltic countries. Yes, and it also includes Belarus, which has a huge potential for Lithuania. And also land bridge between China. Yes.
Ma võin nii palju lisada, et see Tallinna või Eesti osakaal ei ole selles Vene transiidis väga suur, et suurem osa ikkagi on tänane olemasolev vedu, mis käib läbi Leedu. Et Leedust ikkagi Kaunas, Vilnius on need põhiotsad, kus Vene hoob võiks tulla, ja meie loodame siin väga, et kui me oleme väga efektiivsed, siis ka St. Peterburi mingi osa kaupa on võimalik teenindada läbi Rail Balticu.
Kas on soovi kellegi veel küsida? Ja palun lahti.
Ma võin lisaks kommenteerida, et üks suurimaid eestvõitlejaid on Küünenagel, ja siis seltskond, kes tegelikult selle liini pärast tahab Muugal investeerida, ja siis nemad on toonud välja, et täna on 2 regulaarliini, ühe on pannud püsti Türgi ettevõtte Ekol, mis on Triestest Gdanskisse, ja teine siis isegi Eesti taustaga Baltic Rail, mis on ka sealt Aadria põhjaosast Kiili, ja mõlemad katavad täna Rootsit, Soomet ja siis Peterburi. Et millegipärast nemad leiavad, et see on efektiivne tuua laevaga Trieste sadamasse, panna sealt rongi peale, vedada Gdanskisse või Kiili ja siis vedada see kaup laiali siin Skandinaavias. Kui oleks Rail Baltic, siis see koridor on kindlasti efektiivsem kui need tänased eksisteerivad regulaarliinid. Et üks näide, millega tõenäoliselt ei ole selles kalkulatsioonis arvestada, aga äri juba täna toimub niimoodi.
Aitäh. Kas soovib veel keegi kommenteerida? Ja palun, mis teile?
Thank you for that analysis. It's been long awaited, as you know, and we have talked before. So I will ask a somewhat philosophical question. I'm heading also a group in Estonian Parliament which presides or is a big fan of Tallinn-Helsinki connection, fixed connections. Have you taken this into account, and what are the feelings toward this? Because in Estonia and also in Finland, everybody sees it's maybe as a hypothetical, but also an idea to grow the cargo volume for Rail Baltic and also use the Arctic corridor, which for Finns is the idea for the future. So what are the opinions?
In terms of analysis, this is not included in freight forecasts. So this is technically this is only potential upside for the freight flows.
However, as we move towards finding engagement with Finland to become shareholder of the joint venture, and we've moved much further in half a year than I ever expected in terms of interest, Finland understands that there is an opportunity with the potential tunnel and certainly with the Arctic Railway, but it's not going to happen unless Rail Baltica happens. So there is a very definite codependency on these projects for Rail Baltica to happen. So I think in terms of your being parliamentary members that may sometimes engage with your counterpoints in Finland, I think this is worth a discussion between the different parliamentary entities. And I've said the very same thing in Latvian and Lithuanian parliaments. But I gather the point has been set where the tunnel will land and then Rail Baltica will be deployed.
Aitäh! Küsiks rohkem Eesti poole pealt, et kui me näeme, et Leedu on Vilniuse ja Kaunase vahelise raudteelõigu sõna otseses mõttes viimasel hetkel lükkasid paati, et kas Eesti pool ei mõelnud, et vähemalt Tapalt Tallinnasse oleks võinud ju selle sama kasuliku protsendiga renoveerida või ehitada uus lõik, et kui me räägime transiidi võimalikkusest. Kes? Indrek? Jahti.
No, mida meil üritanud oleme, on see kesklinna lennujaama tramm ja siis kohe järgmises etapis me praegu andsime isegi vooru sisse oma taotluse, mis puudutab ka sadamatrammi. Aga mis puudutab Tapa-Tartu otsa ja ka Narva, siis seal on planeeritud olemasoleva raudtee renoveerimine. Et siis Tartu ots saaks 135 kilomeetrit tunnis ja Narva ots täies ulatuses 120 kilomeetrit tunnis. Et erinevad raudteerööpmed ja nagunii on Rail Balticuga seos Muuga terminal, kus kõik otsad saavad kokku.
Kõik on õige, aga lihtsalt kui sa natukene arutad, siis praegu Rail Balticu Eesti osa oma finantseeringu juures jääb alla 300 miljoni euro, eks. Ja samas Tallinn-Tartu 160 kiirusele viimisel oleks see juba sama hind ainult ühele rööpapaarile, et majanduslikult oleks kasulik olnud selle sama projektiga teha kõik investeeringud ära ja Eesti riik oleks võitnud rahaliselt ikka väga suure raha. Praegusel hetkel me hakkame oma raha eest renoveerima oma enda raudteed, mis tuleb lõppkokkudest kordades kallim. Miks me sellesse samasse projekti ikkagi lülitanud neid asju, mida Eesti riigist nagunii on vaja teha, nii nagu Läti ja Leedu teeb seda?
Vastaks korra küsimusele, tähendab Tapa-Tartu liin puhtalt eelõigustaktide alusel, mis annavad siis õiguse finantseerimiseks, ei kuulu sinna põhivõrgu koridori, kuhu kuulub otseliin Tartu, tähendab Pärnu kaudu lõuna suunas. Küsimus on, kuidas te seostate selle Kaunase ja Vilniusega, on see, et vastavalt nende samade õigusaktidele ühendatakse pealinnad ära. Vilnius on kõrval olev pealinn, ühendati ära, aga põhimõtteliselt, kui nüüd tagasi tulla sellega, kas nad saavad EL-i raha kasutada Kaunas Vilniuse lõigu peal, siis nad seda ei saa, nad saavad seda teha alates aastast 2028. see lihtsalt CEF-i raha ei saa panna igale poole, kuhu tahetakse.
Mari, palun.
Tilluka täiendus. Euroopa Liidu raha oli siin koondatud ainult CEF-ile ehk mida Anti Moppel kommenteeris, siis nagu Vilnius-Kaunase ühendus ei ole praegu Euroopa ühendamise rahastust abikõlblik perioodil 2014 kuni 2020. Nii ei ole seda ka hetkel Tallinn, Tapa, Tartu ja Narva suund, aga nagu kolleegid ütlesid, siis Tapa, Tartu ja Tapa, Narva raudtee ajakohastamine on plaanis osalt ühtekuuluvusfondi toel ja ka praegu leedukad täpselt samamoodi võiksid Kaunas-Vilniuse vahele ehitada uut raudteed ühtekuuluvusfondi toel, mida nad on otsustanud mitte teha, nad ootavad kuni Euroopa ühendamise rahastust abikõlblikkus tuleb. Et selles mõttes see Euroopa Liidu rahast mitte abikõlblikkus kehtib ühe fondi kohta ja kehti teise fondi kohta. Ja ühtekuuluvusfondi rahasid Eesti on praegu, on eelmisel perioodil, on üle-eelmisel perioodil raudtee ajakohastamiseks kasutanud.
Aitäh. Tõnis?
I have just one question to clarify some financial issues. You state that the economic rate of return of the projects is 6.32%. Just in order to be clear, is it a return on state financing or on the whole project, considering this social and economic issues, or its numbers, because it wasn't clear for me. Thank you.
Yes, this is for the whole project as such, not only not for the part that is financed nationally, and that's and what we can see here. This is the place where this national funding is being taken into account. So without the whole project, this cost-benefit ratio is 1.1. Yes, so its benefits on discounted terms, benefits increase by 10% the cost. But for national capital, for national investment, this is 6 times larger because of this leverage of EU funding.
Aitäh, saan aru, et rohkem küsimusi ei ole, et me täname kõiki, kes tulid ja presenteerisid meile seda aruannet ja selge on see, et Eesti riik on tänulik, et kui on võimalik 20% omaosalusega midagi ära teha, siis alati tuleb see raha ära võtta ja ma usun, et me alustame oma ehitustega ka nagu siiani oleme teinud õigest otsast, et järgmisena teeme Ülemiste terminali ja ühendused sadamaga ja hakkame Tallinna poolt Pärnu poole sõitma, siis ma usun, et ka Eesti kodanikud, kes protesteerivad mõned selle projekti vastu, on rahul sellega, et Eestisse tehakse üks korralik investeering ja loodame, et õigel ajal saab siis kogu see raudteelind kogu Baltikumis ka valmis. Aga samal ajal ei unustata, et ülejäänud raudtee on vaja Eestis ka arendada ja seal reisijad soovid liikuda. Aitäh! Sellega on meil avalik istungi pool läbi. Thank you!